First of all, delighted to be back in Asia. It's one of my favorite parts of the world. And once again, we're back. Today, we'll be discussing, I consider, one of the critical components of your business, which is the role of a liquidity provider. Guys like us, we have a duty and responsibility. And for that reason, I'll be touching base on key points for you guys to take into consideration going forward when choosing that relationship. When choosing an LP, many of us who've been actually, and most importantly, I want to bring up a small biography about myself so you know who you're dealing with on this side. I've been in this industry close to 23 years. I'm the chief dealing officer at B2Broker. But basically, I've covered three main areas in the financial sector. When I first started, I used to trade options back in the days. So I was an actual trader, professionally speaking, for a living. I then went and worked for retail brokerage, one of the largest EU institutions, where I served close to 12 and a half years. And now I'm in the institutional space, which means I have seen all different roles and I've experienced different levels of this industry, which in my opinion brings a little bit of value to our proposition as a business. Now, today what we're going to do is we're going to discuss what we really do. B2Broker is the liquidity and technology provider. This is the business that I serve. But what is really important is when it's time to choose that LP relationship down the road, a liquidity provider, to some extent, can dictate some of your success going forward. So that selection is something very important. It's something that you got to take very seriously. It's something you need to analyze thoroughly. And I'm a firm believer over the years that if you choose a partner that has no conflict of interest, the chances of success are pretty high. You're already filtering information that will be handy down the road. Now, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to discuss, I think theoretically, something quite important. What you guys' aspirations are when choosing someone, what I consider excessively challenging, what are the differences? A lot of times people want to establish a prime brokerage relationship to outsource liquidity. Well, that's a great idea, but it's a bit of a challenge. I'm going to discuss here very briefly, and what I've done is just a brief summary of what I think are key things to take into consideration. So what we're looking at is basically when you're trying to establish a relationship with any FX prime brokerage, you're basically trying to get access to tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and non-bank vendors or makers, as we call it. You will probably end up with a very large credit line with that relationship. They facilitate that service to you, and you have a collateral efficiency. When you're dealing with liquidity providers or multiple of them, you may end up in situations where you got to place collateral with various LPs, and you may end up routing trades or customers on a particular currency pair. Let's say something very basic like euro dollar, where you end up with a long trade, but in the other LP, you may end up with a short position. Whereas if you have a PB or a prime of prime, you net out that trade and you have capital efficiency all the way. So we always look at what I call in the PB world, the netting benefits through the give up model. It's something that it's quite important as your operation starts to grow. So when you have a settling process through that one single entity, you're ensuring a very smooth treasury approach. This is obviously, when you get a PB, to get onboarded, is probably one of the toughest processes that you're going to go through that business cycle, because they do credit reviews pretty intense. They want to understand that you have enough business, that it makes business sense for them to take you as a client. So it's a very selective process at the end of the day. It's not for everyone. And over the years, we've seen several PBs pretty much in their prime brokerage solution. I'm talking about from a bank standpoint. So now a lot of prime of primes have come to the space to close that gap. Businesses like ours, for example, and many others here today, we provide you with a lower entry barrier. It makes it much more affordable to get a relationship to outsource liquidity from an actual prime of prime than it is from a PB. Don't forget, you have a much more flexible credit review when assessing that relationship. We have to always think of it is much less capital intense. And when you're starting an operation or when you're at a certain cycle of your business, you need flexibility with your partner. I always say anyone in the prime of prime space has the ability to create a bespoke liquidity offer to you. It's all about relationships. It's all about having dialogue. It's all about understanding your client's needs. Obviously, there are some that overpromise, but that's a different story today. Over the years, I think that having a prime of prime relationship is the best way forward because you have the ultimate goal, which is aggregation. You aggregate multiple LPs, which effectively bring that spread compression. You have a deeper order book, which is what you need when you need to facilitate a large clip size. The market impact is less. Others know it in this business or in this industry, there's a belief of a slippage. Well, that's liquidity consumption from our side. But what it does is really, it gives you a better perception of what the market can offer you. It gives you that chance to do more business at a more cost-effective rate. So this is a nice diagram. I will make this presentation public. You guys can have a look at it at your discretion. But this is a very good example of how a solution on the prime of prime space works. This is a very nice scheme I came up with, a little creative for today. Now, I put together a comparison table. When I think about these relationships that you're trying to establish, guys like us, we play a role in your business. So when it comes down to making that decision, you got to make sure that you don't end up with just a single relationship. For example, you go to Morgan Stanley, you got a one bank relationship there. It creates, you may have a very solid partner as a counterparty, but if you have aggregation, your fill rates are probably going to be much better than just one guy pricing in. I always think about single margin account models, simple risk management systems, and all these characteristics, which are very important. At the end of the day, when you analyze it, you can see very clear that having aggregation is the way forward. It brings you all the benefits that you're seeking for. The next slide is actually very interesting. What I've done here is, I was thinking before I came to this presentation, a lot of things have taken place over the last year in this industry. Some businesses have considered single bank relationships. Just, it's a preference. You have the choice of pretty much choosing any relationship. But don't forget that if you have just one partner without aggregation, that relationship may well be, without aggregation, a high-risk point of failure. If you just have one bank pricing in, and they go down, for whatever reason, technology is a beauty, it's complex. What are you gonna do? Your business depends on it. So if you just have a single trading platform, for example, what happens if that vendor suddenly changes their mind and they change business models? You are vulnerable, right? So when we advise clients, we want you always to think you have to have a partner, or not have to, sorry, let me rephrase that. It is best to have a partner who has a sophisticated multi-asset offering. Because in this instance, A, they have the aggregation models in place. They have multiple LPs like we do behind the scenes. You have that aggregation. We provide you 8 asset classes through one single margin account. So if you're going to trade it, just for example, you decide to trade FX, precious metals, traditional stuff, but then you want to trade commodities, equity indices, you don't need to open different accounts with us. You have one single margin account, and then you can have access to all different asset classes. When you have distribution venues, companies like us, I pride myself on doing this, you must have different distribution venues. You need to have the likes of some of the best participants in the space, the 1-0 guys, the Prime XM, and so forth. You need to have multiple trading platforms in place. Why? Nowadays, we live in an era of, I call it, there's some form of evolution. There's a lot of changes in this industry at the moment with trading platforms. So the landscape has changed. I mean, a year ago, if I was to talk to anyone, any of our customers, and we serve close to 400 broker dealers around the world, nobody was willing to even listen to an alternative trading platform. Today is the topic that everyone brings to the table. Do you have a solution? Can you propose something else? So it's pretty dynamic in the landscape we're in, which makes it exciting. There's one thing for sure, you're never going to be bored in this industry. And I recognize a face here for many years with us. Going back to having a prime of prime relationship, a lot of guys want to see top of the book, especially broker dealers in Asia Pacific. Everyone is very spread driven, when they have their commercial offer in place. It's not enough to have top of the book, a choice or something along these lines. You need to have you need to have market depth to make sense of that liquidity relationship. Because when you start a business, obviously your liquidity needs are basic. Now get one master account who has, because a lot of people do nowadays copy trading in this part of the world in particular, he has 1,000 followers. Suddenly they send you 1,000 lots to market. Now you need to know who you're dealing with. Now you need to know that that partner has the ability to serve your business, not just at the beginning, but throughout the journey. Because if you have to change partners all the time, that's not efficient. That's just a waste of time on your end. And in this industry, I believe time is everything. Another point that I prepared to share with you guys today is companies like B2Broker in particular, we structure an offer that makes commercial sense to pretty much anyone, where you're gonna get access to traditional FX, precious metals, commodities, equity indices, crypto CFD, and so forth, NDFs as a CFD, single stocks and ETFs through one single margin account. I can't stress enough the importance of using one single margin account for capital efficiency. We have over 1,000 symbols. This tells you that you're dealing with a partner who has the expertise to deploy this amount of financial instruments. This is diversification on your side. It doesn't mean that people are going to trade. When we do analysis at the beginning of each month, how much flow came through our pipe, well, I find every month, more or less, G7s as the same pairs that capture 80% of our flow on the FX side of things. So there is a consistency. Yes, I have more than 100 pairs. Doesn't mean everyone trades them, but it's a very nice marketing tool for your businesses to attract new clients and be able to maintain those clients as well. So I think that, when you're dealing with someone that has a multi-asset solution, it is in your best interest. That's the critical role of guys like us in this industry. Don't forget connectivity systems. Again, that diversification element is key. I was thinking, we have multiple businesses here do pretty much the same as us, right? We can say to some degree, I don't think they're exactly competitors. They just do very similar things as we do. And I think every business is unique on its own. Just like every one of our customers is different, I've never come across 10 brokers doing exactly the same thing. Yes, they almost all offer the same trading platforms and the same financial instruments, but they do business very differently. Our edge in particular, people who've been in the tech space, having a scalable hosting infrastructure is a very important element. You want to make sure you're doing business with someone that has this capability. We have a 24/7 monitoring tool for all of our systems in real time. You want to make sure when you're going to do business with someone, you understand that they have a backup in real time. That's what we do. It may sound like crazy, but I can't trust my backup. What if something goes wrong? There are many things we don't control entirely. But what we can control is an additional layer of precaution. And a lot of people appreciate that. Sometimes we have a little bit of a downtime, 10, 15 seconds. We switch to backups. Customers don't even notice this. It is seamless. We're still humans, yes. There might be room for error, but we do our best to mitigate those risks at all times. We have multiple jurisdictions to offer you. We don't know where you're situated, which legal entity you need. You want a Cyprus entity, you want a lightly regulated jurisdiction, you want Mauritius, you want whatever. We have different solutions for different clients. We can onboard, and you want to make sure that whoever you're going to do business has this ability to facilitate that service to you. Because at the early stages of an operation, for example, your jurisdiction is not that critical, but once you start scaling that business, wait a second, now we need to think about the next step. That's where guys like us come in play. Obviously, it's a premium service, what we are offering to you guys. We give you a dedicated account manager, a guy who will be there for you whenever you need anything. And most important, I got a 24/7 tech support via ticket system. You don't want to call your account manager, that's fine. You can just send a ticket, someone picks it up, and we'll reply to you in a short period of time. Using a sophisticated trading infrastructure doesn't guarantee, but improves the chances of success, reliability, and growth to your business. So next time you go around shopping for an LP to source liquidity, keep this in mind. This is what it comes down to. What is the level of expertise? There are people in this business, not just myself, many others as well. I've got about 23 years doing this. I've been through many experiences, some not so pleasant, some very much worth remembering. The team you're dealing with, you want to know, are these guys new to this space? How long they've been operating? What are they capable to deliver? Tech stack that they're using, as I said before. Who's their third-party vendor? Is it a premium service, or are they trying to minimize cost at your expense? I don't sacrifice cost. I think the number one priority of any business, especially of a liquidity provider, is to ensure an uptime to the best of their abilities. Something we've tried several years ago and has been very successful is to support customers in their native language. Now, in this part of the world, for example, when we're dealing with Chinese customers, they want to have that Chinese speaker. They want to have that Thai speaker. They want to have whatever country we're dealing with, we have a team that speaks multiple languages, because when that moment comes that you need support, you don't want to, if you're not a native English speaker, things can get a little complicated and you need a quick response time and so forth. So communication is key. I find that a very important element. Again, you want to do business with LPs who have a wide range of supporting products. The more you can consolidate with one vendor, easier life becomes to you. If you have 10 relationships to run your business where you could have one, it doesn't always work out in the best way possible. Businesses like ours, we're constantly developing our technology. I repeat, B2Broker has 3 pillars. 1, tech. 2, liquidity. 3, digital assets. So bear this in mind. If you're dealing with a company that builds something but they don't develop it further, it's like Apple. Apple continuously develops. Now we're looking at 15, the next model. That's the next development they're working on. We develop products constantly, non-stop. Well, that's why we are close to 422 employees to date, because most of it is development. And again, make sure you do business with someone who is capable to serve your growth at all different cycles of your operation. I'm running out of time, just 30 seconds. Here's our ecosystem. We have a booth near the entrance. Please stop by. I would like to say just thank you for listening, and I'll be delighted to continue this discussion further. We are here to serve your business. I hope I can see you at our booth at some point during this event. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.